Hello, friends, and welcome to Coach Cut's Corner. Streaming bright from Michigan's capital city, this podcast is dedicated to helping you better understand the who, the what, and the why of mental performance, personal growth, and Lansing Stars baseball. Coach Cut's Corner, brought to you by iWatch.
In collaboration with Lansing Community College.
And now here's your host, Stephen Cutter.
Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in and subscribing. Each week I aim to provide you with insights into our program and inspire you to challenge yourself to become a better you, ultimately helping you enhance your life just as I've transformed mine. As a college coach, my days are bustling with meaningful moments shared with amazing individuals. Additionally, I offer mental skills coaching to athletes across all levels, from youth to the professionals. My biggest impact in the mental performance field is with individuals who aspire for more than the status quo. My journey began with some pretty humble roots, and along the way, I've gained valuable lessons and experiences. Today, I have our producer, Jereny Robinson, with me in the LCC Connect studios. Thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Today, we're going to talk about confidence. Sun Tzu said that victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. Sun was a Chinese general and philosopher in the 5th century who wrote The Art of War, an ancient military guide that is used by many today still in sports and business. Confidence is the key to unlocking peak performance. It's essential for anyone stepping into the arena to deliver their best. This truth extends beyond athletes to anyone striving for success in their chosen field. Whether you're competing in sports, giving a presentation, or making a business proposal, true excellence emerges when you operate from a place of unwavering certainty. In this state, you are free from overthinking, allowing your instincts to guide you seamlessly, shedding doubts about outcomes and focusing solely on the task at hand. This is the path to optimal performance, enhancing your perception, triggering automatic responses, and enabling your body to execute movements with precision and ease. I bet you don't know this one, Jereny. The number one synonym for confidence in the thesaurus is trust.
Wow.
And the word confidence comes from the Latin word confidere, which means to have a full or intense trust. Dr. Nate Zinsser said that confidence is a quality that you can develop the same way you develop any other skill. Development comes from practice, and practice is one of those things that you just have to continually work on. I believe that belief systems enable confidence. You really only give yourself a chance at performing at your absolute best if you can turn off that voice in your head, and that voice in your head is typically full of self-doubt. To turn off the self-doubt, you'll need to develop that trust in yourself that you have what it takes to dominate. Now, before we were getting ready to record the show, we were talking about confidence, and you brought up an Olympic sprinter.
Yes.
Maybe was overconfident, and you used a word. I can't recall exactly what that word was, but you said he was overly confident.
I say, yeah, he was overly confident. Because he usually steps up to his confidence. But my thing about him being overly confident was when how can I put this? When you lose, how do you take that? Because you can be confident, you can go in and be great, but when you actually are not as successful as you planned out to be, how do you take that with that confidence? So I just didn't like how he presents himself after a loss.
That's really good, and I'm going to get into that just a little bit further in this conversation. So hold with those thoughts a little bit.
Okay.
So to turn off the self-doubt, that thing that's in your head that's saying you can't do this, or it's too hard, or I'm not tall enough, or I can't accomplish this. To turn off the self-doubt, you need to develop that trust in yourself that you have what it takes to dominate. I believe that trust is built over and over with repetitions in what you want to do. Likely, Malcolm Gladwell is right about the 10,000 hour rule, but maybe you can start with just 30 days of consistency in something, in anything. I am certain that with just 30 days, you can start to build confidence and trust. And we've talked about this on this show a lot. We've talked about it on Stars on Sports, that consistency is a superpower. Well, your consistency in what you're doing, if you can do it in 30 days, or like Mr. Gladwell said, 10,000 hour rule, you can get pretty proficient with whatever you're trying to do. We've given examples of playing the guitar and things like that, making salsa. As there's a salsa jar a mason jar of salsa here that
yes, sir.
Brought in for Jereny to
can't wait
to enjoy. But if you put that consistency in, that builds confidence over time, and it also helps keep the self-doubt and that voice in your head that's full of that self-doubt at bay. It's a really, really powerful thing. So just with the ideas of consistency, and consistency being a superpower, the ideas that you can build your confidence come from what you do.
Right.
And it can be it's pretty super powerful thing. And I believe that it's very similar to the balance of a bank account. Depends on the deposits and withdrawals. Your confidence level fluctuates based on your thoughts and your actions, just very much like your bank account. To increase your confidence, this is kind of the golden piece here. To increase your confidence, focus on your positive memories, your past successes, and your future achievements. Avoid dwelling on setbacks or potential difficulties, as this can diminish your confidence. Managing your psychological bank account effectively is a key to gaining, protecting, and performing with confidence. It's all about making smart investments in your self-belief. Right now, understand this. Every thought and memory related to your sport or your profession impacts your level of confidence. But most importantly, you have the choice to control your thoughts or let life's fluctuations dictate them. By taking charge of what influences your mental bank account, you gain an advantage over others. The key skill is to selectively interpret your experiences, holding on to successes and progress while letting go of setbacks. This mental mastery is essential for achieving your first victory and all of those following. The best teams and best players I've coached all have supreme levels of confidence in themselves and each other. It's easy to reflect back on those teams and those players and remember what their confidence looked like. Sports seems to parallel life in that there will be ups and downs. It's pretty consistent. It's always going to happen.
Right.
I really grew up believing that you should remember your mistakes as a way to grow better. What I know now and what we're talking about today is a complete 180 of that. My friend and mentor, Zach Sorensen, tells a great story about confidence and when he was playing for Cleveland in the major leagues. He had a teammate by the name of Manny Ramirez. Manny was an all-star, a very good player. He was a little bit different with his actions. But one day he walked into the clubhouse and Manny was watching video on a tablet, and he went up to him after a little bit of time, not wanting to bother him, but he went up to him and asked him what he was doing. And Manny was sitting there, and Manny was watching his double in the gap, his home run, his great play in the outfield. He was watching all this stuff, and what had happened, just like the way I grew up, was that most players were watching what they did wrong, breaking down their swing when they struck out, watching their footwork when they didn't get to a ball, trying to figure out what they needed to do better.
Right.
Manny wasn't doing that at all. So Zach asked, why are you not paying attention to when you struck out 2 times last night?
Right.
And he said, that wasn't me. This is me right here.
Wow.
And so confidence is one of those things where you take those life experiences and you get to determine what narrative you're going to play in your head. And so if, the old school, we're going to break down everything that you did wrong and that's how we're going to get better. Or maybe the new school, we're going to focus on what you do well and we're going to start stacking bricks on that.
So he literally just has a highlight tape.
A highlight tape, which is incredible. And I've used it with the teams that I coach or the players that I work with, is we'll create highlight reels and they will watch those before they're going to compete in basketball or baseball or football or whatever. They're watching a highlight reel of what they've done because that feeds, that reel is in their head.
Wow.
That's what they remember. Because if you're not, then you're thinking about when you just fumbled, twice.
Right.
2 games ago, or you're thinking about how like you airballed a free throw, or what had 10 turnovers, or that kind of stuff. And so those highlight reels are super powerful. And I've found that the people that are struggling with anxiety, depression, different things like that, or maybe just they don't quite have the drive that they should have, creating those highlight reels of what they do really well and playing those over and over creates, well, what are we talking about? Creates confidence.
Yeah.
And with confidence, you can do some really good things. And so you've got to be able to put some action into it. And so whether it's a highlight reel like Manny Ramirez was using, or it's what you're doing in your daily stuff, if you can do that for 7 days, 14 days, 30 days, 10,000 hours, you create a lot of confidence. Are you going to have setbacks? Are you going to have failures? Absolutely. They're going to come up.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's life, man. It's challenging.
Right.
Sometimes you don't dress properly and you walk outside and we're in Michigan. It's cold and it's snowing, and then 10 minutes later it's raining and you're like, man, this stinks. I've got to walk a long way to my vehicle. But it's more focused on the things that matter. And the things that matter to you is the type of person that you are and the type of person that you can then influence others. And you have to have confidence. And if you're going to be an athlete, how important is it to have confidence? I mean, you coach, younger kids.
Yeah.
I mean, think about the kids that are confident versus the complete 180 of that.
Right.
What's that look like? And how well do they do when they're not confident at all? They don't do well.
It's a complete different team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And you think about like the best teams that you've seen, whether, I know you like the NBA, and you think about the best teams that you see, those teams are fun to watch because they're confident in each other and they're confident in themselves. And they might not be the most talented team. They might not have the most size or the best shooters, but there's something special about them. And sometimes people are like, I can't really put my finger on it, but this team, there's something about this team. Well, it's those teams, through my study, and I've found they exude with confidence. And it's not that bad things haven't happened to them.
Right.
It's not that they're maybe up against the wall just a little bit because they don't have this, it's they're focused on the good stuff.
I just got a real good example of that from my good friend Seth Curry. One day I can meet that man.
Love that.
But in the Olympics, literally every game until the last 2 games, and I literally watched the Olympics just to watch him shoot. Like, that's the main. Okay. I like LeBron, KD, and all them, but I really like his game. And he shot horrible. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm like, who is this person out here? He couldn't make an open 3, barely make anything. The last 2 games, this man dropped 15 points in the first quarter, and then like he had like 9 threes, and then the championship game, he dropped 8 threes, and then he made a crazy 4 3-pointers in the last 2 minutes to close the game by shooting over 2 players and then doing his signature night. And I'm like, and I'm like, this is what it means to like believe in yourself and just keep going. Because he could have easily like, you know what, you guys got it. I'm just gonna just fall back and do whatever. But he just kept at it. So that kind of taught me a lesson. Like, all right, it doesn't matter how skillful you are, you're gonna have your down points. But if you just keep on, you can have that home run moment.
Really good. It's the same way in baseball when a hitter goes in a slump. A lot of times it's the same thing for basketball. For baseball, when they go in a slump, a hitter goes in a slump. It's not that they've forgotten how to hit.
Right.
And it's not like Mr. Curry forgot how to shoot. Right. It's they forgot what success looks like. And so they're stacking instead of those positive instead of this positive stuff into the bank account, the mental bank account, they're stacking negative stuff in there.
Right.
And so that highlight reel that you think of, that highlight reel, whether it's on an iPad or in your head, it's playing. And so you've got that negative one stacking in there. The highlight reel for slumps, whether it's a shooting slump, a hitting slump, whatever it is,
right,
that positive highlight reel saying, oh, this is me when I'm doing it, is super powerful. And that's kind of what it looks like to build trust and confidence in yourself. And we're all capable of changing the world when we start with ourselves.
Yeah.
Instead of the grand picture of changing the world, we can change the world when we just start with ourselves.
Yeah.
So refusing to acknowledge and adapt to human imperfection is what we're kind of moving to here, because if you think that humans are going to be perfect, then it becomes more of a struggle and your confidence then sinks.
Yeah.
Like if you expect perfection, your confidence is going to sink, right?
Yeah.
But most people kind of forget that we're imperfect humans, but it can quickly deplete your confidence and hinder your chances of achieving your victories. Constantly punishing yourself for mistakes and imperfections undermines your confidence. It's important to differentiate between destructive perfectionism, which is counterproductive, and the healthy pursuit of perfection through discipline and dedication to improvement, which a lot of people will say like 1% better daily.
Right.
That's what that improvement looks like. A moderate level of perfectionism is necessary for enhancing your abilities, much like a hint of spice adds flavor to a dish. However, excessive perfectionism can impede your progress and have negative consequences, just as an overdose of spice can ruin a meal.
Right.
So it's all about what you're using with your spices and what you're putting in your bank account. One final tool to build confidence, and this is something that I share with a lot of the people that I work with, is affirmations. And affirmations kind of get a bad rap at different points. And I use an example of, if you have a garden and you haven't maintained it in a while, and you go out to that garden and you close your eyes and you say, no more weeds, no more weeds, no more weeds, and you open your eyes, those weeds are still there.
Right.
Right. So sometimes those affirmations aren't going to really work, but the affirmations work when you start putting them into action.
Yeah.
And so one thing that I share with the athletes that and the business people that I work with is affirmations before bed. So it's the last thing that you say to yourself before you go to sleep. So if you have conversations with people before you go into bed, you're talking on the phone, whatever it is, you make it the last thing you say to yourself before you go to sleep. And you might stay up for an extra hour watching TV or whatever it is, or just trying to fall asleep.
Right.
Whatever that is. But the last thing you verbalize, it's got to be verbal. It's got to be out loud. Just like we're talking back and forth here. You're going to say 3 to 5 to, it could be 1, but it's going to be an affirmation. You're going to put that out there. And usually they're I am, I can, I will, those kind of affirmations. Like
right.
I am a good parent. I will impact the world. Just it can be big, it can be small.
Right.
I will get up tomorrow morning and go to work, and what happens is, those are the last 3 things that you say, or 1 thing or 5 things, whatever it is. When you go to sleep, those are working in your subconscious.
Yeah.
So it's a cheat code for efficiency. Your things that you're saying are working in your subconscious while you're sleeping. So it becomes more powerful.
Right.
And I'll talk a lot about like when you say things out loud, how it's 70% more impactful than when you're just thinking it. So if you're thinking, man, I can't do this, but then you verbalize it, it becomes even that much more powerful. So there's power in your words,
yes,
whether they're positive or negative.
Yeah.
You will see a lot of athletes, whether it's the Olympics or anywhere else, you will see their lips moving before they run. You will see them before they do something, before they're shooting a free throw, whatever, you'll see their lips move. That's what that is. Those are positive affirmations. The trick to it, though, is you've got to put in some action. Those people have put in work. Right. You can't just sit on the couch or walk out to the garden and say no more weeds. It doesn't work like that. But if you put in action and you put out verbalized words, it's 70% more powerful than just thinking that.
Yeah.
So when you go to bed at night, use those affirmations, whether it's 1, 2, 3 of them. I can, I will, those kind of things, and let your subconscious go to work while you sleep.
Yeah, and how I treat my affirmations, if you don't believe it in the moment, what can I do to make me start to believe it?
Exactly.
So when I listen to it and it says, you are a great father, you'll be a great provider. If I don't feel like I'm a great provider at the moment, all right, I'm going to tell myself still that I'm a great provider. Now, what things can I start moving, like you said, stacking those bricks to start creating that to make it more truer in my mental. So you got to build that confidence and I can do it. And then when you actually start taking the action, the action's a little easier because now you're like, all right, I am doing it. I'm creating this thing.
And then you build confidence.
Yeah, and then confidence.
And that confidence is built from that trust in the action. And you look back on it, whether it's 30 days, 7 days,
right,
10,000 hours, whatever it is, and you're like, holy smokes, this is incredible. You know, and so that's a big piece of not only our program, but it's a big piece of what I teach. And belief systems is a large piece of that too. And you got to find take more interest in what you're doing successful than what you're not, and stack that stuff so your confidence is there. Because without confidence, you're not going to likely want to take a whole lot of action.
Yep. I have to apologize to my son. He had me playing this soccer game, and he's really good at it, and I'm bad. And I don't like being bad at things, so I only play like 2 rounds with him. He's like, "Dad, you already done?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You lost confidence, didn't you?" I'm like, "No, it ain't that." It was. I lost confidence. I didn't want to lose no more. And now I have to, like, how can I show him how to get through that if I'm not doing it? So now I'm feeling convicted. Like, all right, I'm gonna play a little bit more with him and show him that I can persevere. And so when he has those moments of, you know, not being good at something, I can like, hey, remember when I did this? I wasn't good, was I? But I still stuck to it, you know. So it's a good moment for me to teach that and get out my own feelings.
It is. I think as parents or coaches that modeling is by far the biggest thing that you can do. And you know, I don't think it's do as I say, don't do as I do. I think it's do as I do, and what I'm saying matches what I'm doing. Yeah. And it becomes really powerful. So modeling is either can be positive or negative. It can be a positive account in your bank account. It can be a negative one. But the modeling from coaches and parents is absolutely enormous. Thank you for joining me today. Make winning in life your habit, not your goal. Excellence is a practice, not a prize. Build great habits and practices that serve you through confidence so you can serve others. Enjoy the small moments in life as they go by in a blink of an eye. Until next time, thank you to all of our listeners. We are all playing a game we can't win, so why not play it to the utmost? Go all in and go Stars. Coach Cut's Corner is recorded live in the WLNZ studios. Engineering and production assistance are provided by Dedalia and Lowry. Thanks for listening. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, please share it and follow us on all the platforms of social media. You can find more about our program at lccstars.com, and donations to our baseball program can be made at the same site. See you next time.